Hello, today we are going to go over using the quadratic formula, which may come up when you are trying to factor a problem that does not factor. So this is the method that we use. And if you happened to watch my other video on factoring, this one looks exactly like the first example that I did. But if you notice the signs on this problem, we cannot find two numbers that multiply to get 6 and add to get -5. Because we will need either a -2 or a -3, and the other number must be positive to get -6. And neither of those results will yield in -5, so we have to use the quadratic formula for this one. So I like to start off by writing this here. So, oops. Actually, cut that part out. Just cut this part. You don't know. I'm going to start by writing this. This is the standard form of the quadratic equation, and this is the form that our problem is in. Oops. Let's copy it. Standard form of quadratic equation, and this is the form that our problem is in. So if you want to, you can label all of your pieces. Your A will be 1, because there's an understood 1 on that x squared. Your B will be -5, and C will be -6. So we're just going to fill in this formula with those pieces of information. And also, don't confuse any of the signs. Make sure you get those correct when you're filling this out. So there's a negative sign on the B in the problem, and there's also a negative sign on the number in the problem. So we have that negative sign and this negative sign. So, and then I'll put my B in here again. Got B squared -4 times A. The A is 1 times C, which is -6, all over 2 times A, which is 1. And so from here, it looks like a lot of stuff, but you're basically just going to start simplifying things little pieces at a time, and it won't be so bad. So these two negatives right here will make a positive. So this is just going to be 5 plus or minus. And then we're going to simplify the stuff in the square root. And you can put all of this into a calculator at once if you want to. Just be very, very careful that you copy it exactly how it is in the problem. Or you can do it piece by piece. You can do -5 squared, which is 25. Anything squared is always going to come out positive. And then you can do -4 times 1 times -6, which is 24. That will be positive 24 if you multiply all that together, because there's these two negatives here. So then you got 25 plus 24, which is going to be 49 all over 2. And so then we just need to compute that square root, which the square root of 49 is 7. And if you look at this answer here, we can't simplify it any further. So our answer will just be, you can write it different ways. This plus and minus sign means like plus or minus, so we're going to have two answers. We need to write it with the plus sign and the minus sign. So we're going to have x equals 5 plus 7 over 2, and x equals 5 minus 7 over 2, and you can compute that and make it a little simpler. So we'll end up with this. And this one is a negative 2 over 2. This is going to give us x equals 6 and x equals negative 1. So those will be your answers for that one. So now we can start with another example. Remember that this problem is in the standard form of like this. So if you want to label all of your pieces, A is 2 here, the B will be 3, and the C will be negative 2. So then we can start writing our quadratic formula. And just writing it multiple times will help you remember it. And then we'll just fill in the pieces of information that we have. So we got negative b. B is 3. We'll have b squared. 3 squared minus 4 times 2. C is negative 2. Like that. And then we'll just start simplifying it from here. We got negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared is 9 minus, that'd be plus 16. Nope, cut that out, that's wrong. It's 25, I believe. Or if you put all this into your calculator, you'll get 25 all over 4. And then the square root of 25 is 5. So plus or minus 5. All of that over 4. And then we need to separate our two answers. So we're going to have x equals negative 3 plus 5 over 4, and x equals negative 3 minus 5 over 4. Which will be, this will give us 2 over 4. And negative 8 over 4. This will simplify to 1/2. And this will simplify to negative 2. So that's our answers for that one. And then I have one more example that's just a little tricky, so I wanted to include this one. So my A is 1, my B is 4, and my C is 5. So I need to write my formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we'll just start filling it in. So I have negative b, my b is 4, plus or minus 4 squared minus 4 times a is 1, times c is 5, all over 2 times 1. And then we'll start simplifying this. And this will give you negative 4 over 2. And if you remember, the square root of a negative number will give you imaginary numbers, which is fun. So that will give us positive or negative 2i. You'll just take the square root of the number like normal, and since it's a negative, you have to put an I. We'll have that all over 2. And then I cannot combine these two numbers because one of them is imaginary, but I can simplify the fraction. So I need to still separate my answers like I did for the other problems. So I'm going to have this, and I'll have this one. Now all of my numbers have a common factor of 2, so they will simplify by 2. So this will be negative 2 plus 1i over 1, which is just going to be negative 2 plus I. And this one will simplify also with 2's. It'll be negative 2 minus I over 1. So we'll have negative 2 minus I. And that's my answer for this one.